Today, we're diving into AI and the future of work.
Yeah, it's something I know a lot of our listeners are thinking about.
Exactly. And we've got some fascinating research to unpack here.
Definitely.
From scientists using AI in the lab to entrepreneurs in Kenya getting AI business advice, and even how AI is shaking things up in the legal profession.
It's really a lot to cover.
It is, but the big question we're tackling is this.
Yeah.
Is AI going to boost everyone's productivity, or will it just widen the gap between the haves and have-nots?
You know what I mean? Right. Is it going to be this rising tide that lifts all boats, or is it going to make things even more unequal?
That's the question.
What's really interesting is we're finally getting past all the hype and speculation about AI.
Right.
We've got real-world data now, and it's painting a pretty nuanced picture.
I like it. Nuance.
Some studies show AI leading to these huge leaps in productivity, while others are finding that it's not a magic bullet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it can even backfire if it's not used the right way.
So let's jump into the deep end with this MIT study on materials scientists using AI.
This is a good one.
They found that researchers using this new AI tool discovered 44% more materials.
Wow.
That's a pretty impressive jump. And even better, it led to a 39% increase in patent filings.
So it seems like it really is accelerating innovation.
Yeah, it seems like it.
But what's striking about this study is it wasn't just a case of everyone getting a little bit better.
Right.
The top performers, they saw their output practically double. But for the bottom third, the AI barely made a difference.
That's fascinating. It's almost like AI is supercharging those who are already killing it, but not really helping those who are struggling.
Exactly.
So does this mean that AI is actually making inequality worse?
It's a real possibility, and it gets to the heart of this emerging debate about the impact of AI on productivity and the future of work.
Okay.
The MIT study suggests that AI isn't just about automating tasks.
Right.
It's changing the nature of work itself.
Okay.
They talk about this shift from idea generation to judgment.
Interesting.
AI can generate tons of ideas, but it's up to humans to decide which ones are actually worth pursuing.
So it's not enough to just have AI spitting out ideas. You need the skills to evaluate those ideas and make smart decisions.
Right.
I can see how that could be a problem if some people are better at that kind of judgment than others.
Exactly.
Is this kind of like those people who just know how to pick the right investments?
Kind of, yeah. It's about having the intuition and experience to know what's a good idea and what's not. The researchers call this judgment a superpower in an AI-driven world.
Okay.
They found that the researchers who really benefited from the AI were the ones who could effectively sift through all of the suggestions and pick out the gems, so to speak.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But judgment is a pretty vague term. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, the study actually visualizes this shift in how researchers spend their time.
Oh, really?
Figure 8 shows that before AI, researchers spent most of their time generating ideas.
Okay.
But after AI, they're spending way more time on evaluating those ideas, prioritizing them, and figuring out how to implement them.
So it's almost like AI is taking care of the grunt work, freeing up humans to focus on the higher level thinking.
That's a good way to put it.
But that raises a question.
Yeah.
What about all the people whose jobs are the grunt work? Are they just out of luck?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is that when we move beyond the lab and look at how real people are using AI in their everyday work, the picture gets even more complex.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity.
All right.
Let's talk about that real-world data.
Sure.
You mentioned an AI assistant named Claude?
Right. This study analyzed millions of conversations with Claude.ai.
Oh, wow.
It's like getting a fly-on-the-wall view of how people are actually using AI across a huge range of jobs.
Amazing.
And the findings are pretty surprising.
Okay.
We're not just talking about factory workers or data entry clerks being replaced by robots.
Right.
It's happening in software development, writing.
Wow.
And you wouldn't believe how many other occupations.
So it's not just blue-collar jobs that are being affected. AI is creeping into white-collar work, too.
Absolutely. They found that a whopping 36% of occupations are using AI for at least a quarter of their tasks.
That's a lot.
It is.
But you said there was a catch.
Oh, right. And this ties back to what we were talking about with the MIT study.
Okay.
57% of that AI use is augmentation, not full automation.
Hold on. Let me make sure I understand.
Okay.
You're saying that most people aren't using AI to completely replace their jobs?
Right.
They're using it as a tool to help them do their jobs better?
Exactly. It's this idea of AI as a partner, not a replacement.
Interesting.
It's like having a super-powered assistant.
I like it.
Who can help you generate ideas, write code, analyze data.
Oh, awesome.
And all sorts of other things.
Right.
But ultimately, it's still the human who's in control, making the decisions and guiding the process.
Okay, I'm starting to get the big picture here.
Yeah.
AI is changing the work landscape in a really fundamental way.
Definitely.
But it's not necessarily this doom and gloom scenario where robots are taking over everything.
Right.
It seems like it's more about this evolving partnership between humans and AI.
Exactly.
And the key is going to be figuring out how to make that partnership work effectively.
That's a great way to put it. But before we get too cozy with this idea of AI as our helpful partner,
that doesn't sound good.
we need to talk about some of the potential downsides.
Oh, no.
Because as we're about to see, AI assistants can sometimes do more harm than good.
What kind of harm are we talking about?
Well, let's shift gears to this study on small business owners in Kenya.
Okay.
They were given access to an AI tool that provided personalized business advice.
Interesting.
And the researchers tracked their performance over time.
Sounds like a pretty straightforward way to see if AI can actually help people in the real world.
Exactly.
What did they find?
The results were a bit of a mixed bag.
Oh.
For the top performing entrepreneurs, the AI advice did lead to a 15% increase in performance, so that's pretty positive.
Right.
But here's the kicker.
What's that?
For the entrepreneurs who were struggling, the AI advice actually led to an 8% decrease in performance.
Wait, what? The AI made their businesses worse? How is that even possible?
That's what's so intriguing about this study.
Okay.
It wasn't because the AI was giving bad advice.
Uh-huh.
Both groups got very similar suggestions from the AI. The difference was in how they implemented that advice.
Okay, so it's not just about the AI itself. It's about the human's ability to understand and apply the AI suggestions.
Precisely. The researchers suggest that the lower performing entrepreneurs may have been more likely to blindly follow the AI's advice.
Oh, I see.
Without really thinking about whether it made sense for their specific situation.
Interesting.
Whereas the higher performing entrepreneurs were more discerning. They took the AI's advice as a starting point and then adapted it to their own unique context.
So it seems like that judgment superpower is even more crucial than we initially thought.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not enough to just have access to AI. You need to be able to use it strategically, to think critically about its suggestions, and to make your own informed decisions.
That's a really key takeaway.
Yeah?
And it raises some serious concerns about whether AI will truly empower everyone or just amplify existing inequalities.
Yeah, that's a pretty sobering thought.
It is.
Like, AI is this powerful tool,
Uh-huh.
but it's only as good as the person wielding it.
Right.
If you don't have the skills to use it effectively, it could actually end up hurting you.
That's a great point.
And it brings us to a really important question.
Yeah.
What are those crucial skills that we need to thrive in an AI-powered world? And how can we make sure that everyone has access to them?
Those are the big questions.
They are. But before we move on,
Yeah.
I want to hear more about how AI is impacting creative work.
Okay, sure.
You mentioned something about a study on ad copywriting.
I did. Yeah, this study on ad copywriting is really fascinating.
Okay.
It gets to the heart of whether AI can truly be creative.
Interesting.
The researchers wanted to see how those large language models, the things powering ChatGPT and Claude, how they would impact the work of actual ad copywriters.
So they basically had copywriters use AI as their writing partner?
Exactly.
Did it make them better at their jobs? You'd think having an AI cranking out the first draft would be a huge time saver.
Well, the results were a bit more complicated than that.
Really?
They actually tested two different approaches.
Okay.
One they called the ghostwriter approach, where the AI did most of the writing.
Oh, interesting.
It generated initial drafts that the human copywriters then edited.
Okay.
And then there was the sounding board approach, where the AI provided feedback and suggestions on the copywriter's own work.
So two very different ways of using AI.
Yes.
Kind of like having a ghostwriter who does all the heavy lifting versus having a mentor who gives you feedback and helps you improve your own work.
Exactly. And the results were pretty surprising.
In what way?
The ghostwriter approach, the one where the AI did most of the writing, it actually hurt the performance of the expert copywriters.
Wow, that's unexpected.
Yeah.
I would have thought that having an AI do the heavy lifting would free up the human copywriters to focus on the more strategic stuff.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Why do you think the AI actually made him worse?
Well, the researchers think it might be a case of what's called anchoring bias.
Anchoring bias.
Yeah, the expert copywriters got so fixated on the AI's initial output that it actually limited their own creativity.
Oh, I see.
They were essentially stuck in a box created by the AI.
It's almost like they were so impressed by the AI's writing that they became afraid to deviate from it, even if they had better ideas of their own.
That's a great way to think about it. It's a reminder that even the most sophisticated AI can't replace human intuition and expertise.
Right.
Especially when it comes to creative tasks.
Yeah.
Sometimes, starting with a blank page and letting your own ideas flow is still the best approach.
So what about the sounding board approach?
Okay.
Did that one work any better?
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The sounding board approach, where the AI was more like a coach or a mentor, it actually helped non-expert copywriters create ads that were more like those of experts.
Really?
They were able to take the AI's feedback and use it to improve their own work in a way that they couldn't have done on their own.
So the AI was actually helping them level up their skills? That's pretty cool.
It is, and it really speaks to the power of AI as an augmentation tool.
Uh-huh.
When AI is used in the right way, it can help people learn and grow and become even better at what they do.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
What's that?
It seems like the key to success in this AI-powered world isn't about blindly following the AI's lead,
Right.
but about using it strategically
Uh-huh.
as a partner that can help you enhance your own skills and judgment.
Yes.
It's like AI can be a powerful tool,
Right.
but it's still the human who needs to be in the driver's seat.
That's a great insight. The research we've looked at so far really emphasizes the importance of human agency in this whole AI equation.
Yeah.
AI can automate tasks,
Right.
generate ideas, provide feedback,
Right.
but it's up to us humans to decide how to best utilize those capabilities
Yeah.
to guide the AI and to make the final call.
So if we want to thrive in this future of work,
Yeah,
we need to be thinking about how we can work with AI, not against it.
exactly.
And that means developing the skills and the mindset to be effective partners with these increasingly sophisticated machines.
Absolutely. So based on what we've discussed so far,
Yeah.
what are some of those crucial skills that you think will be in high demand going forward?
Well, we've talked a lot about judgment and critical thinking.
Right.
Being able to evaluate information, make sound decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and not just blindly follow the AI's suggestions.
Right, right.
But what else do you think will be important?
I think adaptability is going to be huge.
Okay.
The pace of technological change is only getting faster,
Right.
and the jobs of the future might look very different from the jobs of today.
Yeah.
Being open to learning new skills,
Mhm.
embracing new ways of working,
Yeah.
and constantly evolving, that's
Right.
going to be essential.
I completely agree. It's like the only constant is change.
It really is.
And we need to be prepared to adapt and evolve right along with the technology.
Definitely.
What about creativity?
Yeah,
I mean, we saw how AI can both hinder and enhance creativity,
right.
depending on how it's used.
That's true.
Hmm.
I think creativity will become even more valuable in AI-driven world.
Okay.
AI can generate content, but it's still limited in its ability to come up with truly original ideas,
Right.
to think outside the box,
Yeah.
to connect seemingly disparate concepts. That's where human creativity comes in.
So it's not just about being creative in the traditional sense, like writing a song or painting a picture.
Right.
It's about being creative in how we approach problems,
Exactly.
how we use AI, how we
Mhm.
design our work, how we live our lives.
It's about bringing that uniquely human spark to everything we do.
Right?
Even in a world where AI is playing an increasingly prominent role.
This is a lot to process.
It is, isn't it?
It feels like we're on the cusp of a major shift in how we work,
Definitely.
and there's both excitement and uncertainty about what the future holds.
It's definitely a fascinating time to be alive.
It is.
And the research we've discussed today
Yeah.
provides some really valuable insights into both the potential and the pitfalls of AI in the workplace.
Right.
But ultimately, it's up to us humans to shape this future
Uh-huh.
and to make sure that AI benefits everyone,
Right.
not just a select few.
Speaking of shaping the future,
Okay.
we've got one more study to discuss.
All right.
It focuses on AI's impact on the legal profession.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Are lawyers about to be replaced by robots?
Not so fast. This study actually challenges some of the common assumptions about AI and the future of law. It's a really interesting look into how even highly specialized professions are being impacted by these new technologies.
Right.
And it highlights the need to carefully consider both the ethical and practical implications of AI adoption.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive in.
Okay.
This study used a randomized controlled trial.
Uh-huh.
That means they had some law students complete legal tasks with and without AI assistance.
Right.
What did they find?
Well, they found that AI, specifically GPT-4, did improve the quality of work for some tasks,
Really?
particularly contract drafting.
So AI can actually help lawyers write better contracts. That's kind of surprising.
It is.
I always thought that legal work was too nuanced and complex for AI to handle.
It is surprising, but it's important to note that the effect wasn't the same across all tasks.
Okay.
For things like writing legal memos or sections of an employee handbook,
Yeah,
there was very little to no effect on quality.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
So it seems like AI is better suited for certain types of legal work than others.
it seems that way, yeah.
What do you think explains that difference?
Well, it could be that tasks like contract drafting involve more structured language and predictable patterns,
Right.
which makes them easier for AI to grasp.
Okay.
Whereas tasks like legal memos require more nuanced argumentation and strategic thinking,
Uh-huh.
which are still very much in the realm of human expertise.
So again, it's not about AI replacing lawyers altogether,
No,
but about augmenting their capabilities in specific areas.
precisely. And that's where the debate about the future of the legal profession gets really fascinating.
Oh, how so?
Some experts argue that AI will lead to a decrease in demand for lawyers
I see.
as certain tasks become automated.
Uh-huh.
But others believe that AI will actually increase demand
Okay.
because it will allow lawyers to handle more complex cases
Right.
and provide more specialized services.
So it's not a simple case of robots taking over.
Not at all. The authors of the study actually argue that the long-term impacts of AI on the legal profession are much harder to predict. They suggest that we might see a shift in the types of legal services that are in demand,
Interesting.
and that lawyers will need to adapt their skills and their workflows to stay competitive in this evolving landscape.
So what does that mean for law students and young lawyers who are just starting out their careers? What advice would you give them?
I would say embrace technology, don't fear it.
Good advice.
Learn how to use AI tools effectively,
Uh-huh.
but don't rely on them exclusively.
Right.
Develop your human skills,
Right.
your judgment, your critical thinking, your creativity.
Yeah.
Those are the things that will set you apart in an AI-powered world.
That's really good advice.
Yeah,
And it seems like it applies to everyone, not just lawyers.
I think so too.
No matter what field you're in,
Right.
the future of work is going to be shaped by this ongoing interaction between humans and AI.
Absolutely.
The key is to navigate this transition in a way that benefits everyone
Yeah,
and ensures that AI is a force for good, not just for profit.
absolutely. The future is not something that just happens to us, it's something we create.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure we're creating a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
All right, that was quite the whirlwind tour of AI's impact on the world of work.
It was, wasn't it?
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but it feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
You're right, there's still so much to explore and discover in this rapidly evolving field.
Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to touch on the big picture implications of everything we've discussed.
Okay, sure.
We've seen how AI has the potential to boost productivity,
Uh-huh.
but those gains aren't always evenly distributed.
It's true.
And we've talked about how AI can both exacerbate and mitigate inequality,
Right.
depending on how it's developed and deployed.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this deep dive is that AI is not a silver bullet.
Right.
It's a powerful tool,
Yeah,
but it's just a tool.
right.
The real question is how we use it.
So what does all of this mean for skills, productivity, and inequality in the long run? What are the key things that our listeners should be thinking about as they navigate this AI-powered future?
It's a bit like we're standing at a fork in the road. The choices we make now as individuals, as organizations, and as a society will determine which path we go down. Do we end up in a world where AI amplifies inequality, creating a small elite of highly skilled workers while leaving everyone else behind? Or do we create a future where AI empowers everyone, boosting productivity across the board and creating more opportunities for all?
Those are some pretty high stakes.
They are.
So where do we even begin to make those choices?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that AI is not some inevitable force of nature.
Right.
It's a tool that we humans are creating and controlling.
Right.
And that means we have a responsibility to think critically about how we design and develop these technologies
Right.
and to make sure they're aligned with our values and goals as a society.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the human choices that shape that technology.
Exactly. And those choices start with skills.
Right.
We've talked about the importance of judgment, critical thinking, adaptability, and creativity.
Uh-huh.
Those are the skills that will allow humans to work effectively with AI,
Okay.
to guide its application, to evaluate its output,
Yeah.
and to ultimately make the decisions that drive success.
I can definitely see how those skills are becoming increasingly important in my own work.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about knowing how to use the latest AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being able to think strategically about how to integrate those tools into my workflow.
Right.
To anticipate potential challenges
Right.
and to adapt quickly as the technology evolves.
That's a great point. The pace of change is only accelerating, and the ability to learn, adapt, and evolve is going to be essential for everyone, regardless of their profession.
So what are some practical things that people can do to develop those skills and prepare themselves for this AI-powered future?
Well, I think lifelong learning is going to be key. We need to move away from this idea that education ends when you graduate from college or university.
Right.
The most successful people in the future will be the ones who are constantly learning, upskilling, and reskilling themselves.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it also puts a lot of pressure on individuals to keep up with the pace of change. Shouldn't organizations and governments be doing more to support people in this transition?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We need to create systems and structures that make it easier for people to learn new skills throughout their careers.
Like what?
This could include things like offering more accessible and affordable training programs, providing incentives for companies to invest in employee development, and creating safety nets for workers who are displaced by automation.
Those are all great ideas.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a deeper challenge here, a mindset shift that needs to happen. We need to move away from this fear-based narrative that AI is going to take our jobs and replace us.
Yeah, it's a really common fear.
It is.
But it's not necessarily the most productive one.
Right.
Instead, we need to embrace the possibility of AI to see it as a tool that can augment our capabilities, enhance our creativity, and help us solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
So it's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans working together.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to leverage the strength of both to create something truly remarkable.
I like that. So how do we shift from fear to possibility, from scarcity to abundance?
Well, I think it starts with education.
Okay.
We need to educate people about what AI is, how it works, and what its potential benefits and risks are.
Right.
This will help to demystify AI and empower people to engage with it in a more informed and constructive way.
Yes. The more we understand about AI, the less we'll fear it, and the more we'll be able to harness its power for good.
I completely agree, and I think it's also important to highlight the positive stories, the ways in which AI is already being used to improve people's lives, to solve complex problems, and to create new opportunities.
Right. We need to counterbalance the doom and gloom headlines with stories of hope and progress.
I love that. We need more stories about how AI is helping doctors diagnose diseases earlier, how it's being used to develop new renewable energy sources, how it's enabling people with disabilities to live more independently.
Those are just a few examples.
They are.
And there's so many more out there. The more we focus on the positive potential of AI, the more likely we are to create a future that benefits everyone.
I'm feeling a lot more optimistic now. It's so easy to get caught up in the fear and uncertainty.
It really is.
But it's important to remember that we have the power to shape the future.
We absolutely do. The future is not something that happens to us. It's something we create.
Exactly.
And by working together, by being thoughtful and intentional about how we develop and deploy AI, we can create the future where AI is a force for good in the world.
Definitely.
A future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
That's a fantastic message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI and the future of work.
It's been an incredibly insightful and thought-provoking conversation.
It's been a pleasure. And to all of our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, keep asking those tough questions. And most importantly, keep believing in the power of human ingenuity to shape a better future for all.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.